Now we're recording.
Jinx.
Hey, oh, you owe me
Oh.
something.
Oh, okay. I guess that's how it works.
Yes.
No.
All right.
All right.
What were we disagreeing about?
We were disagreeing. We weren't disagreeing.
Yes, we were. I said, Tolkien, that Middle Earth is not an allegory.
Oh.
And then you were like,
Well, true, but it's more nuanced than that because reading it, in my opinion, it's actually an allegory for everything on Earth, and so
okay.
that makes it not an allegory because if you go by that logic, then technically everything's an allegory for itself, or I don't know. Maybe that sounds stupid.
Okay. So why is it an allegory for everything on Earth?
Well, because it's an allegory for the Bible. It's an allegory for World War I, World War II. It's an allegory for uh, lots of stories where the little person turns out to change the world. Like to me, you can just equate it to literally any story ever because it's kind of like an entirely separate, different world.
Okay. So what's an allegory?
Um, I g- I can pull up the definition. That makes me sound like an idiot for saying allegory, but like the gist is like it's like a story for uh something that a made up story. I think this is the definition. A made up story that uh um that is uh sorry that
Have you ever read the story where they send a bunch of kids to the island?
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, have you read it?
No.
Okay, I haven't either. But everyone who reads it gets kind of the same message. That the author in his book takes a cast, puts them on an island, they're all boys, and then they degrade into a terrible society. And then the result is, how do you feel about society? When you ask somebody how they feel about at least what the author's saying about society after reading the book, it's clear. He's saying, put boys on an island and our nature will cause us to become horrible. And if there's anyone with a good heart, we'll also kill them, basically.
Is that what an allegory is?
Well, I don't know,
Because
because I also
to
don't know.
me, if that's what an allegory is, then any story ever told has, like, any good story has a message behind it.
Um, yes, but I think there's a difference between trying to portray, trying to communicate a story that you can see using elements that are definitely true, and then trying to communicate a specific conclusion by providing all of the evidence yourself.
Uh,
So some writers write what they think will be, for example, I just have a bunch of problems with society, and so I want to write a book, and I just write how I think society should be in a book, and then I provide all the evidence for why my idea is right in my same book. And when I read it, I can like kind of, I'm feeding myself my own ideas saying, hey, look, see, this is how this guy reacted, and this is how these people behave, and isn't this obvious how my idea is the best idea ever?
and that's an allegory?
Well, I think it's closer to that type of allegory that Tolkien didn't like. Because Tolkien, like, what's the message of the Lord of the Rings? You already listed, like,
There's a few.
okay, but everyone who reads the Lord of the Rings is gonna pull out something slightly different.
So that's why it's not an allegory.
Right, because it's a real story.
Hmm. I did that the first time, but it wasn't loud enough.
I heard you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what am I trying to say? Like the Lord of the Rings I did a little bit of research and tried to see what I knew that Tolkien didn't like allegory, and then in his appendix of one of the like the editions of the Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
he specifically noted, he was like, the Lord of the Rings is not an allegory. People,
Okay.
stop trying to say it's an allegory.
So that an allegory is, or so you'd say that an allegory is um a story told where there's one point that the author is trying to get everybody to uh notice or think about, or
Right. Or I think maybe more like a conclusion
yeah.
that the author wants everyone to make
Okay.
about something. It's it's an allegory kind of like makes a case, but I think what I remember him talking about how um, he purposefully presents truth in the Lord of the Rings, right? Like
Yeah.
he recognizes that that people in the Lord of the Rings behave like people on Earth, and that there's obviously gravity and
Right.
nature and laws of physics there.
Right.
And he also said that he wanted he said out of for all the work that he did to like make languages and write Bibles worth of content, he there's one quote where he admits that even that he didn't take the time and the effort to go into his maps and map the Lord of the Rings onto the world, or make the geography at all resemble Earth, but that the entire time he intended his mythos to take place on Earth in like an old age before we had
Right.
documentation.
Yeah. Uh I listened to a interview with him in 1964 or something. And he was saying that yes, he wanted it to be like that, except that want it to be his goal he hadn't did not intend for it to be possible to have happened in this universe. He made it clear that it was specific to um another possibility of a different universe that's not actually connected to this one, even though it's like the same Earth and the same whatever.
Did the concept of like multiverse exist, or was it popular back then?
I'm not exactly sure, but it was in sometime in 1960s when the interview that I
Right,
listened to. It's on YouTube. It's like the only interview where he's actually talking.
right.
I don't know which one it is though. I don't know what it's called. I mean,
I think I think the difference between allegory and fantasy or fairy story is that an allegory uses symbols
too.
that are directly transcribable, where you can decode it and get the message. Where if you know the code to unlock an allegory, you know what things represent, then then there's only one message you can get from it, because the author's intentionally writing in one thing to mean another thing.
Okay.
But a fantasy is when the author removes layers of reality and replaces them with imagination, and then what's left are spiritual realities that it kind of like strips away all of the externals from existence, like Tolkien's story. There's no Earth, there's no Christianity, There's no temples, no priests. Religion is like almost non-existent. And then he tells a story in that world, and then what's left for us to relate to is what's true about both worlds. And that's what it sheds light on. That's why
Right.
people read. That's why you can read into it and find truth about World War I and World War II,
Yeah.
and evil and good and everything, because because he's you automatically recognize things that aren't real when you read fantasy. It's like, well, we don't have magical powers and wizards
Right.
and stuff. So what is the same? And then you get virtue
Yeah.
and awesome stories and stuff.
Okay. Let's do the intro.
Yeah, let's do the intro. Okay.
Welcome. This is the 4th episode of our Catholic podcast. My name is Owen.
I'm Andrew,
We're the hosts.
and this is for Creative Catholic Men. We're talking about J.R.R. Tolkien, the legend, hoping to learn something from him
Yeah,
today.
I have it written right here because you just interrupted my intro.
Sorry.
I called him the great J.R.R. Tolkien. Anyway,
Can't believe I did that. Tell us about
I
him.
was just joking. You didn't actually. Yeah. So here, I have a semi-brief biography. So on January 3rd, 1892, John Ronald Reuel Tolkien was born in Bloemfontein, which is the capital of South Africa. Excuse me.
Whoa.
That's where he said in the interview that I listened to, he said he became aware of or conscious of things. John's father, Arthur Tolkien, was a Unitarian, like a diehard Unitarian. I'm not
What's that
exactly
mean?
sure what that is.
Well,
You
we're
can
not
look it up.
politicians. Okay.
I think that's a religion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
His mother's name was Mabel Tolkien, and they had John and his brother, John J.R.R. and his brother Hilary Arthur Rule Tolkien. And then when John was 4 years old, his father died, and Mabel took her 2 sons to stay with her family briefly in Birmingham before moving to Sarehole, a rural hamlet just south of the city. That is where Tolkien's inspiration for the Shire really was embedded into him at a young age, where he grew attached to the beautiful landscape not yet corrupted by industry. Holy crap. Okay. Um, 4 years after the death of Arthur, and much to the dismay of her family, Mabel converted to Catholicism. Her family stopped their basically support of her for her, their financial aid and any help because of that, and which forced her to move to the Birmingham suburb called Moseley. There, she met Father Francis Xavier Morgan, who would become a very important father figure in Tolkien's life. Mabel eventually was diagnosed with diabetes, and the illness at that time couldn't really be helped. There wasn't anything you could really do about diabetes. So the family moved, Mabel, J.R.R., and Hillary moved closer to Father Morgan so he could help take care of them. But tragically, John's mother eventually died November 14th, 1904. Father Morgan became the guardian of the 2 boys, and they moved into their Aunt Beatrice's apartment to be close to their school. Tolkien somehow was introduced to the Anglo-Saxon language at his school, which was used in the Middle Ages, obviously in England, which quickly sparked a lifelong passion for language as a scholar. I think the term is like
Philologist.
philologist or something.
Philologist.
Yeah, philology. Uh, which uh, quickly sparked passion, and he also started inventing his own languages. J.R.R. and his brother were placed in a boarding house in 1908 where he met Edith Bratt, which would be his future wife. Because Edith was a Protestant, lived in the same boarding house, and 3 years Tolkien's senior, Father Morgan did not approve. He did not think their romance was a good idea and forbade Tolkien from meeting with her or even writing to her until he was 21, which was were like legally adult, basically, at that time. Uh, the day he turned 21, he sent a letter to Edith, and the relationship started back up pretty quickly.
That's some
Tol-
good obedience right there.
yeah, no, he actually followed it like perfectly to the T, like except for apparently like one exception, and then which Father Morgan was like probably pissed off and almost revoked his like the aid that he was giving to him to finish his studies.
Oh.
But then after that, he was like totally obeyed until he turned 21. Until he turned 21. Oops, I started scrolling. Okay, here we go. Tolkien was in many social groups, including the Tea Club, uh, but after World War One, many of the members were drafted or enlisted, and many of them met their end on the battlefield. Tolkien was admitted to Oxford in 1911 because of a scholarship prize granted him by the university after the First World War broke out. Tolkien decided to finish up at Oxford before enlisting and training to become an officer. At this stage, Tolkien wrote a bunch of literary works such as Goblin Feet, which originally he wrote for his wife and then published. It's like a poem. And then the first little piece that we get that is mentioned in the Legendarium of Middle Earth is Arendelle at the Helm, which was a poem
Yeah.
that he wrote.
Yeah.
You can look it up. I don't really know all the details. But in the movie, in the poem, it talks about Arendelle Star that
Right.
he's like what do you call it? Sailors who use the starry night to navigate.
Yeah. A navigator? I don't know.
A navigator.
Right.
Uh, the when Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings gives Frodo
The light of.
the
I thought it
the
was
light,
Elendil.
it's Arendelle,
Arendil?
the star of Arendelle or something.
I think it's Arendil. It's either Arendil or Elendil.
Well, it's written down. It's Arendelle or something.
I don't have it written down. Okay. Sorry.
And and yeah, that he uses the light to escape Shelob.
Yeah.
The icky spider. Uh, Tolkien and Edith were married on March 22nd, 1916, under the condition that Edith converted to Catholicism, which her father or guardian, I think she was an orphan,
Right.
just like
Opposed.
yeah, her father opposed also. So I don't know. It's England. What are you gonna do? When World War II broke out, Tolkien was deployed, but eventually shipped to a hospital in France to be treated for a sickness called trench fever, and was eventually shipped back to England. From there, he would start to piece together the stories that made up the basis of Middle Earth, mostly like the Silmarillion and
Right.
all that, which I should read. He would repeatedly receive orders from the military, only to fall ill once posted and be sent back home. And that happened multiple times until they just realized that when they send him out, he would just get sick, like
Right.
deathly ill, and they'd have to bring him back. The rest is mostly history. Tolkien became an Oxford professor. He met Clive Staples Lewis, better known as C.S. Lewis. Uh, Founded the Inklings and got a bunch of awards. I ran out of time to write, so I just kind of cut it off right
Well,
there.
we know what
We
comes
basically
next.
know everything that comes
He
next.
writes The Lord of the Rings.
It's widely known, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Did you look into the Inklings at all?
I did not.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe we'll do but
We
that's
could do an
important.
episode
That's
on the
important
Inklings.
because that's important to Tektons because he never like worked alone. Like obviously his works were by him,
Right.
but he was always looking for groups to be part of.
Right.
To you know a community of writers
I
and
think back then there's no social media. You couldn't, you know, make something that you think is a good idea and then post it and get 3 likes and then think like, "Well, that's what the world thinks of it."
right.
You have to go meet somebody that you know
Yeah,
face to face and pick up your manuscript and read it to them and then watch the reaction on their face and hopefully they're still there, you know.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So,
Right. It was
like it was not weird to talk to people back then,
no.
which unfortunately now it's pretty weird for a guy, a man to um have a a conversation with other men about something fantastical like art without it also being an attempt to escape reality in a potentially unhealthy expression of imagination. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So, anyway, Inklings were pretty great. The
yeah,
Silmarillion, I have read it. So in the codes, we have the 40 minutes of prayer.
yeah.
And one of the things I mentioned in a previous podcast is like, if your attention span has been stolen by social media, then forcing yourself to focus for 40 minutes in silent meditative prayer is so like really good for building it back. Another option for that is to just read the Silmarillion.
Yeah. I
It's
I after I read The Lord of the Rings when I was like 13,
right.
which was really hard.
Did you read it
I
on
like
paper or did you
yeah,
listen?
it was the paperback, the set that we had multiple sets.
It's actually pretty
But
good.
yeah,
I
uh
never read it on book. Always had it. I listened to it.
I think I read on real paper the first two,
Yeah.
and then halfway through The Return of the King, I switched to like my Kindle because mom had just
Oh, but still
bought
reading
us
with your
Kindles or
eyes.
something. Yeah, yeah,
Nobody does that. That's pretty epic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry. Good.
but then I tried to read the Silmarillion, and our parents did this thing, like you you can't watch The Lord of the Rings until you read the books
Right. Right.
first.
Right.
And so that was my motivation. That's what
Right.
took me through. And then because there's no Silmarillion movie, there's just no motivation behind it, and
Oh,
so
there
I just
should
gave
be.
up. Yeah, yeah.
Give
I need
Tektons a bit, like I don't know, several years, many,
Well,
and then we'll make it.
The Rings of Power TV show is
It's
like
not that good.
yeah, it's like the Halo TV show. It's like it actually doesn't exist.
Well, yeah,
Like just don't even think that
it's fan
don't even
fiction.
yeah.
Basically,
Fan fiction
I can't believe you just said
not
fiction.
not
Epic.
fiction fiction.
Wait, okay. Okay, if there are any parents watching this, that was a fantastic strategy to get your kids to read books, which two
Yeah.
things our parents did.
Yeah.
One, you can't watch the movie until you read the book, and then two, for every 2 minutes of reading, you got 1 minute of video game time.
True.
That was
True.
good. Yeah.
Yes, true. Um yeah. All right. So I'm an aspiring philosopher, so I really want to get into the philosophy of this.
Okay, hit it.
Not very good at all, so bear with me.
What's
Uh,
good?
Probably being able to
No,
communicate your idea.
I was like, what's good?
Oh, see, even right there, even there. Example, exhibit A.
Okay, what's your thing?
Okay, so there are lots of like we were saying at the beginning of this, lots of truths that are always true. Doesn't matter if you're in Lord of the Rings or in the Marvel universe or in uh am I allowed to say that? This is
The
educational. I can say whatever I want. Uh,
You can
uh,
mention other content.
I don't know. Or in the real world. Like so one of them is that um I really like how if you think about it and you look at every conflict, everything like small like the fellowship,
Yeah.
you know, they escape they escape uh death. They have small victories here and there, but nobody can really defeat evil. Nobody defeats evil on their own. Even
Oh, yeah.
even like taking an example at the end in the Return of the King, spoilers, probably everybody's read it already.
Hopefully.
Uh
If not, pause it and read the Lord of the Rings right now.
yeah. Um
Subscribe to our channel so that you know where to come back to when you're done.
Good idea. Everybody should do that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Uh um so they're all in the set of in the city.
Minas Tirith.
Minas Tirith. And Aragorn leads the remaining army to Mordor because they have no idea if
Frodo's still alive.
Frodo's still alive or if he completed his mission or
Right.
if he turned evil or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but they're just last stand. They're gonna go and they're not gonna win. They have like a few thousand guys
Right.
against all of Mordor, which is like way more thousand guys.
Right.
Uh, and even at the very end, Frodo even succumbs to the temptation of the ring, and
Right.
before he tosses it into Mount Doom, he's like, I don't know the quote, but he's like, I'm not gonna do this. Actually, I'm just gonna take it for myself, and the ring is mine.
Right.
And what I wrote down is nobody um nobody defeats evil on their own, only after cooperation, divine providence, which I don't know the full definition of. Cut that out.
No.
I'm just kidding. No, only after divine providence saves the world after cooperation.
Right.
So
Oh, okay.
so
Yeah.
everybody does what they're supposed to do to the best of their ability, and they still fail. And
Right.
then God, which I forgot his name in the universe,
Iluvatar.
Iluvatar, he
Theoretically.
works it out, and it ends up
Right.
on accident happening through
Right.
divine
Right.
providence.
Right. Right.
So even Gollum is a work of divine providence because he betrays them, right? He betrays them at the end. But he ends up being the reason why the ring is destroyed because he attacks Frodo and wrestles with him and bites off his finger and then falls into the lava.
Right.
Um, uh, and so the world is saved, but Frodo wasn't strong enough on his own to resist
Right.
temptation, and I think that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. What if you think of it? I'm gonna pose a different perspective. Not
Yeah,
to say that Tolkien didn't believe in divine providence,
yeah,
but when you asked me, you gave me like a hint about that question before we recorded.
yeah.
I was thinking nobody defeats evil on their own. Evil defeats itself.
Okay.
That seemed like that was like
Well,
just sitting in my head like a cool thought because it what Gollum's uh like at the end
mm-hmm,
Gollum essentially is already corrupted. He's an agent of evil.
yeah,
And the ring's its very attractive power of corruption is what spells its own doom. Like the ring's a little bit of a
yeah,
character, right? So
mm-hmm,
like the ring has this pull on everybody, and then it's that same pull that causes. If it wasn't so strong, if it wasn't so evil, then I mean, obviously, then it wouldn't be evil. But
yeah,
if it could have stopped being evil in that one moment after it corrupted Frodo, and stopped pulling on Gollum, it would have survived. Right?
Yeah.
And then the other main bad guy, Saruman, ends up, well, in kind of a dumb move over, like, down at the end. He gets stabbed by his own guy. Right? So there is, um, I
Uh,
think,
yeah.
his own people, like, basically stab. In the movie, he gets stabbed by Grima, but actually, I think in the book, he might have been killed by somebody else.
Yeah, when Frodo
And
and
everyone
them
returns home.
come back, I think I don't remember. It's been a little while,
But
but
it's that kind of
yeah,
thing.
it's like, well, yeah, because uh, yeah,
So, but
that goes into how evil is portrayed, which is also another thing. How is evil portrayed? How does Tolkien portray evil,
right,
which is corruption
right.
of good?
So the parallels, we're not necessarily, so we're not looking for allegory. We're looking for the truths that exist in his
Yeah,
fantasy, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So one of them is, I love, one of the things that we miss out on today is the I heard Father Gregory Pine actually on a totally
Hmm.
unrelated podcast. He's like,
I keep doing it too
yeah,
quiet. I don't know
you
if it
got
actually
him
adds
loud.
anything.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. There you go. And he was talking basically how Catholics kind of brush over the word communion nowadays. It's used so much, but when he described it, it kind of hit me like, you don't you don't realize how important and how valuable communion is with the people that you're working with, that you're living with. And he said, he was saying this, he's not a direct quote. He basically said, you can, with communion, you can think the same thoughts, want the same things. You're still yourself, but you're like so united by something, right? Nobody has perfect communion on earth, right?
Yeah.
I noticed last podcast, I said right like 1,000 times.
Okay.
Anyway, so how does he portray evil? What did you say?
So it's well, basically the gist is that it's always a corruption
That's something good,
of good, of the will of God.
right?
So even all the way at the beginning of the universe, when Iluvatar,
Did you read the creation part at least?
yeah, an overview of it. So basically, Iluvatar um creates all these things, and everybody's singing a song,
Right.
and each individual uh creation,
He makes
s-
essentially angels, and he's
yeah,
singing
yeah, basically,
with
and
these powerful beings who he's made.
their autonomy and creativity they use to harmonize with the melody that Iluvatar is singing.
Right.
So they're not like mindless drones.
Right.
They're
People.
creating to or being creative,
Right.
or what's the, basically you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
Um, and then Melkor, who is the strongest,
Strongest.
smartest, most beautiful uh Maiar
Yeah.
angel.
Angel. Yeah.
Uh uh Basically Satan.
Right.
Um
He starts trying to mess up
yeah, right.
Iluvatar's music.
Because he is prideful and he thinks that he wants to have his own song
Right.
that's separate.
Right.
And he goes and searches for some spark of whatever in the void basically, but doesn't find it because it's actually just Luvatar
Right.
is the he's God. He is the creator of the universe and everything basically.
So he tries to uh pervert the song.
Right,
He can't make his own song without Iluvatar.
right,
And then when he does mess up the song,
right.
Iluvatar then plays alters his melody so that the bad melody that Melkor made actually becomes an even more beautiful melody
Yeah,
that
yeah.
glorifies
I
Iluvatar.
forgot about that part. Yeah,
Yeah, and he does it 3 times, and then at the end, he's like, "All right, cut," and everyone's like stops, and then he brings everybody, and he's like, "All right, come here, come here, come here, come here,"
yeah,
and then he shows them basically that all of their music was building the destiny of the world that is Middle Earth. And so then they
Mm,
then they play then he lets them choose to either enter into this world that they made through the music
right,
or
right.
stay back. And Melkor's like, "Well, I'm gonna go in there and mess it up," which is
Yeah,
what he just did. He just tried to do
yeah,
3 times and failed, right? And so that's why Melkor is like the evil demon character who is messing with things in Middle Earth.
right. And just a little quick uh I
Aside,
don't know, trivia.
okay,
Gandalf is actually he's not a man, he's actually like a lower level angel.
yeah, he was there.
And yeah, so he
Actually,
witnessed
I knew
all
that.
that.
Right,
And and the Balrog that he fights is like the same thing as Gandalf but on the opposite side.
right.
That I
I
thought was really
I think
cool.
there might be have been an element of memory loss, or like you know how Jesus. I'm not a theologian, but how he kind of at points his divine nature knew things that his human nature didn't know.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I
So I
understand what you're
think
saying,
like
yeah.
Gandalf, even though he was there, didn't necessarily in a human form comprehend
Right,
the whole of existence in the way that he would if he was outside
right.
of Middle
Yeah.
Earth.
Yeah.
What are your
Uh
other what are your other
so one of them is like every time throughout history, every time. So let's do a little history of the Silmarils are the most beautiful jewels ever to exist,
Oh,
like in all the history of the world,
yeah,
past and future. There's
right.
nothing more beautiful created by the
By him,
either sons of Iluvatar,
right.
which is the elves and the humans,
Yeah.
as beautiful as the Silmarils.
So do you want to cover where they came from? So
Yes, I'm a little bit.
I know it, I know it. I
Yeah.
looked it up. I looked it up again. There's no way you can remember the
But
whole
they were
Silmarillion.
created by Feanor, who is
So the the Maiar, there's the most powerful one I think is Manwë, right? And
I
they're
think so.
living in like the realm that the elves go to when they die.
Yeah.
And at first there's actual lamps that light up the entire world. And Melkor
Right.
like
There's the one on the
obliterates
north
them.
and the one in the south, basically,
Right.
right? Yeah.
And then he does something to them. He does something bad to them. They disappear,
Yeah.
right? But before that happens, one of the other Maiar is able to capture their light in 2 trees that are just lighting that one continent. And those are the something trees, Maiar trees or whatever. And those are then providing light to everything. And
Yeah.
so Middle Earth has no light in it, and that continent has all the light. And that Melkor ends up going to Middle Earth because he doesn't want to hang out where the light is. And then while those 2 trees still exist, uh, Feanor, an elf, the greatest craftsman of all the elves,
Yeah.
uses the light of the tree and forges it into gems, the 3 Silmarils, which is what the Silmarillion's about.
Yeah.
And and then the those trees, which were the source of light in Middle Earth, get poisoned by probably like the great great granddaddy of the spider or something like that.
Yeah. It's like Inglesol or something.
Yeah. And so now there's no light even in that land. Um, the only thing that they can do is the angel basically who made the trees is able to take some of the light and like kind of purify it and then make the sun for the day and the moon for the night.
Yeah. They use silver and gold or something to
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
craft them, right?
Right, something like
Yeah.
that. But it's using the light of the trees, but it's corrupted. It's not the same as the light that was
Yeah.
protecting them
Right.
from evil. And oh my goodness, I what bothered me when I was looking at this was why didn't she just remake the trees?
I don't know.
Like, if
I
she made
didn't.
the tree in the first place,
Yeah.
and then ChatGPT, actually it was Grok, told me that in Tolkien's universe, some acts of creation can only be done once. And I thought that might be really interesting for artists to talk about, because there's definitely a attitude that a lot of people or artists have of when they make something really good, you start to think like, I can never do that again. You're gonna have to louder.
Mm.
Okay. So it seems like a rule in his universe. It's like some things can only be made once,
Yeah.
and it's not actually really explained more than that. So anyway, then oh, okay. One of my other things, interesting things he portrayed, is Feanor, this guy who made the Silmarils. When the two original trees die, then everyone is like, "There's no more light. What are we gonna do? I know Feanor has some. Let's go ask him for it." But the reason why basically everything in Middle Earth happens is that this guy who made these gems from the light that he didn't make wanted them for himself, and then wouldn't share them, and then that sets off like a chain of events where he's like trying to hoard this treasure that he.
I was gonna
Oh,
play into
you
that.
were
Yeah.
going there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Keep going.
Well, that's just it. It's like that. I think is
Yeah, I was gonna talk about he made an oath. So obviously Melkor hates Silmarils,
yeah. He hates
or
everyone.
he hates that they have them,
Right.
and so he somehow steals them in at some time, and Feanor is so pissed off, right? And then he makes some vow that's like they'll always basically go to the ends of the earth and
Uh,
die trying to get all the
him and
Silmarils
him
back
and
and hoard them.
all of his
All of
sons.
his sons, yeah,
They
who are
all.
the Noldor,
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
and they're basically cursed by that vow that they have to fulfill. And then every time every time someone tries to go get a Silmaril, like take a Silmaril back for a greedy reason, something bad happens to them and they're not able to do it.
Right.
An example is uh um Maedhros and Maglor, who are the last two sons. All this history goes by, and they both they try to take the uh the Silmarils, and Maglor is like, do we really have to fulfill this oath? Like, it seems like it's just basically plunged our people into a forever like loop of just dying and and stuff. And Maedhros is like he still wants them to be greedy basically,
Right.
and when Maglor like takes the Silmaril, it like burns his hand. It's like burning his hand, and so he throws it into the sea.
Right.
But Maedhros um kept just held on to it out of greed, and he wouldn't let go. And I guess the pain was so bad that he cast himself into a fiery pit and basically
Right.
died.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but an example where that law, which is like try to get the Silmarils and you fail,
Right.
um, is the exception is Beren and Luthien, where Beren doesn't care about the Silmarils. He loves Luthien, who is an elven princess, and the father of Luthien says, "Well, if you want to marry my daughter, you're just a guy. You're just a man. You're gonna die, basically.
Right.
So you're like, if you want to marry my daughter, you have to bring me a Silmaril."
Which at that point they were in Melkor's crown,
Yeah,
like on his
Melkor
head
had
twenty
them.
four
Yeah, he
seven.
had them. Yeah, all the yeah. And so because his the reason why he was getting him was love of Luthien, so that he can marry her. Uh, he went on a quest, and then he actually got caught by Sauron, and then Sauron held him captive, and then Luthien and I also his uh Tolkien really throughout like all of history there he really likes the all of the throughout all of Middle Earth. He really likes the I don't want to say kosherness, that's Jewish, but like um, people are where they're supposed to be. So like men fulfill their role, women fulfill their role
Oh, yeah.
very traditionally
Yeah.
and stuff. But in
The
that
right way to
case,
do
yeah, but
things.
in that there are always there's exceptions
Right, right,
when in extraordinary circumstances. So
right,
Luthien actually is like cool, and
right.
she actually comes and rescues uh Baron from
Sauron,
Sauron.
yeah.
They escape, and then they have a plan, and they like put they either they put Sauron to sleep to so Baron can escape, or
I
else they put Melkor
Yeah,
asleep,
they put
who's
so,
who's named Morgoth now by Feanor.
I think Sauron got his butt kicked, and
Okay.
then when they got to Melkor, she, uh, used her elf magic and put him and his entire court to sleep.
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
Oh! Actually, there's one thing.
But they eventually die
Well,
or
who?
later, but Baron and Luthien.
Okay, so one thing that I think is in there's several versions of the story because he changed it
Oh.
a few times, but I think in the Silmarillion version, when, uh when Beren goes to cut a Silmaril off of the crown, he he tries to cut a second one off, and
Oh
only
yeah,
because
yeah,
he
yeah.
tried to cut the second one off does he slip and cut Melkor's cheek, and Melkor wakes up, and then they have to,
Yeah.
like, dip
Right.
really fast, and then because they had to dip so fast, one of the werewolves actually bites off Beren's hand
Yeah, right.
with the, gem in it,
Yeah.
and then later on, they have to go hunt down the wolf that bit off his hand and get the
Oh.
Silmaril out.
Oh. Yeah. I think I actually remember that. But yeah, so basically their plan was working, then he got greedy
Right,
and they failed.
right.
Um
Well, they didn't fail completely, he just lost his hand.
no, yeah, 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 you're right.
But I wonder what Tolkien would say about that as allegory. Because if you portray that enough times of tr um, doing something for an evil purpose gets you obvious worldly consequences, and it's a little bit like the Old Testament style in the Silmarillion where, uh something materially bad happens to you when you do evil. And then there's also he does really weave in, like, the slower, less noticeable corruption, but there are definitely elements of, like, tries to do something bad happens to him, right?
Yeah.
So but he also studied a lot of, like, his thing was fairy tales, fairy stories,
Yeah.
and, like, fables and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I wonder what he would say the difference is between a fable
Mm,
and an allegory.
okay. Um the other thing I wanted to talk about was we covered most of it, I think. Oh, obviously what can creatives learn from Tolkien?
Okay.
And here's one thing that I noticed is that um endurance, which is over and over again, like uh example in uh the Lord of the Rings, like Helm's Deep,
Oh, yeah.
the whole story where it's like
Right.
they know they're gonna die.
Frodo's
How long are their wills going to last
right,
before the world is saved,
right.
basically. Frodo, he endures the ring,
Yeah,
even every moment he feels like he's like closer to the end.
yeah,
Every moment he feels like he's about to die because of how heavy the ring is, how
yeah.
hard it is to bear. In Helm's Deep, they
Holding out to the last second.
holding out to the last second instead of just giving up and letting the orcs kill them. They held out to the very last second, and then Gandalf comes on his white horse
Yeah.
with the rest of the Rohirrim.
I love I'm just realizing I love endurance stories.
Yeah,
1917?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I love
Great.
watching, and I don't think this is, like, a bad way, 'cause there's the inclination to watch some bad stuff happen to somebody, and it's like the same inclination as like watching gladiator fights or watching Christians get mauled by lions.
Yeah.
And so it can be unhealthy, but I think I draw strength from seeing or hearing a story where a bunch of at least really difficult, if not horrendous stuff happens to a man specifically, and
Right.
he doesn't compromise on
I
something,
agree. I
right?
agree. Those are my favorite stories
Yeah,
where all this stuff happens and they or he holds on
yeah,
and you're saying he doesn't compromise.
right,
And the very last second where he all his energy, like he literally just does that till what he thinks is the very end. And
right.
then right at the very end,
Well,
something happens.
yeah. So I think there's like I think that should be a recognized as a different kind of story. There's like the hero's journey
Yeah.
where the guy like goes through a change, but it's really satisfying to have a guy who doesn't change the whole story.
Yeah,
And he
like he's
just does
steadfast
right,
in his
steadfast.
faith and
Right.
his what he believes in.
Right.
Yeah.
To get to that, like I think in real life, to get to the steadfastness, you have to go through
The
like
hero
the
arc.
hero arc, right?
Yeah,
But a
yeah.
guy who's already been through his hero arc is so satisfying to watch.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or listen
Yeah.
or read. I don't remember what you were talking about before.
Oh, just like how what do creatives
Oh
basically
yeah,
learn
yeah,
from
yeah.
this is like
Endurance. Oh, he knew a
that's
lot
in the
about
codes too.
endurance.
That's in the codes.
We actually say complete your projects 3 times in there on
Yeah.
purpose.
And the title of the article is actually endurance. And then it says complete your project. Complete your project. And also
Yeah.
complete your project.
Yeah. So, endurance in his books and also in his life.
Right.
Because endurance is not something that he had like in the bag.
Right.
There are multiple testimonies. Like he had first of all, pretty distressing life.
Yeah. Mom
Raised
dad died,
right.
mom died.
And then his like had trouble marrying
Yeah.
the girl of his dreams, and
Yeah.
she got sick and she died, and all that stuff.
And then the wars.
And the war, like okay, so he was a uh, certainly a man with a lot of endurance, but no matter how much endurance he had, naturally it was pushed to the limit.
Yeah.
And he said he would not have finished The Lord of the Rings, the series, if it weren't for simply the encouragement that C.S. Lewis specifically gave
You
him.
know what the next one is on here? It's
What is it?
fellowship is essential.
He actually named a book.
The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been important to him.
Yeah.
So fellowship
Probably.
is important for endurance.
Yeah.
How many of us just encourage people? I don't often. So actually, I try recently, but I heard about there's
Yeah.
I just heard a
Yeah.
war story, and I can't remember what it is, but the story was basically I think it was the Maccabees. In the book of the Maccabees, there's this guy Judas Maccabeus, the Hammer. He's leading everyone to like victory,
Yeah.
and in one of the early battles, he his army just has to march from one place to another place,
Yeah.
and he ran up and down the line, just encouraging people, just telling them like, "Hey, we're gonna make it."
Yeah. Theoden does that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Theoden does that. That's a cool scene in the movie, I think. The
Oh, like the
just the
pre-battle
all of
speech.
the horses. Well, I mean, I don't necessarily remember the speech from the movie, but just like the scene, like the
Yeah,
vibe that you get,
right,
and they know they're all gonna die,
yeah.
or that's what they think. But then he has just like,
How much
you know,
time do we have?
wait, when were we supposed to end?
No, we have 20 minutes left.
What time?
6:30.
It's 6:41.